Yes, hello? Oh, the bank's calling? Oh, you're talking about a loan I took out. Oh, don't worry, I'm just trying to buy these six. These six players will win you your fantasy football leagues, ladies and gentlemen. We've been smashing with success our buy low videos, and you're not going to miss these six names, man. Now, a lot of people are telling you, oh, buy this guy. A lot of the same cookie cutter names. In this video, it's going to be unique. You know, the last week prior, we had BTJ, and sure, Brian Thomas Jr. still remains a good buy low candidate. But with that said, like, the thing about Brian Thomas Jr. is now everybody's on him, so nobody even wants to. If everyone wants to buy him, nobody wants to sell him. It's simple supply and demand. Now, Brian Thomas Jr. continues to get worse and worse, but the bounce back is coming. It is inevitable, and a lot of people do know that. Just because he had a slow 4 weeks this week or this year, take a look at what he did last week, right? So in terms of consistency, sure, he started off slow this year, but we've seen such a large sample size in 2024, nobody's ready to sell him. This name, I do believe people might sell. Chris Godwin, back from injury. The angle you can work here is that Mika Egbuka still was the wide receiver 1 with Chris Godwin back. Now, you also have Mike Evans potentially returning into the fold at some point soon. He wasn't placed on IR. It's a hamstring, low hamstring grade strain. So Evans should be back. So there's a chance that Godwin's the potential on-man out wide receiver 3 here in Tampa. Now, is that actually going to be the case? It's not going to be the case whatsoever. Taking a look at week 4. The reason you can still buy him low, you're not going to be able to buy him as if he was injured still, because he's not. So you're buying him higher than you would have in week 2. But you can still buy him low because in week 4, it was a bad performance. 3 catches, 26 yards. Your idiot league mate might not look at the target volume. What happened to Malik Neighbors week 1? Now, obviously, rest in peace, Malik Neighbors. Don't buy him low. Malik Neighbors week 1 had 12 targets, only had 5 catches, and everyone panicked. The next week, he had 13 targets, and he brought in 12 of them. So he had an insane game. Now, do I expect him to continue averaging 10 targets per game? No, but if we look back at last year, he was dang near close. He was around 8 or 9 targets per game, and he was a lot more effective. So this is his first game back. This dude just got into practice last week. Tough matchup versus the Eagles. I think Chris Godwin is poised for success the rest of the way. You know, pretty tough games, and you want to see Baker Mayfield have to pass the ball for Chris Godwin to get good volume. So I like buying Chris Godwin low. That's the first name of the video. Continuing forward, and this is where things get interesting. Saquon Barkley. Now, why do I think that this is where things get interesting? Because I think there's a real case where somebody will trade you Saquon Barkley for Amarion Hampton. Amarion Hampton. I actually think Amarion Hampton has just as much upside as Saquon Barkley. So if I think that, your league mate will think that too. Now, why would I trade Amarion Hampton for Saquon? Because Saquon Barkley, we have not seen the same ceiling that we saw in 2024. That doesn't mean the ceiling's not there. In 2024, look, 33, 33, 26, 33, 34, 46. This guy won you a quarter of your weeks. If you had Saquon Barkley, you won 1 out of 4 of your matchups. Now, we're 4 games in, and you haven't won a single game because of him. That is going to change. He plays the New York Giants 2 out of the 3 subsequent weeks after they take on the Denver Broncos. Now, they also have the Packers, they have Dallas, they have the Bears. Their closing schedule is good. Their playoff schedule is good for fantasy football. So I like trading Saquon for Hampton. Now, why do I like getting rid of Hampton if I'm so high on him? I'm actually high on Hampton. Listen, the O-line. You have Rashawn Slater out. So beyond Rashawn Slater, their other amazing tackle, Joe Alt, high ankle sprain, out for a couple weeks, right? At least a couple weeks. So what was projected to be a top 5 O-line is now projected as a bottom 10 O-line. Whereas the Eagles, we know they're going to play the same small ball, is what you can call it in baseball, where they ground and pound. And I think Saquon Barkley is poised. You know, as soon as Saquon Barkley has one 30-plus point game, which is it can happen in an instant, he hits us on the goalpost once, then you're not going to be able to buy. You're not going to be able to get him anywhere. He'll be back up there in the top 4 RB conversation, probably behind Bijan and Gibbs and McCaffrey. Now, TreVeyon Henderson is the next name. This is a bit riskier. People that drafted TreVeyon Henderson in the 3rd round are not going to trade him for 10th round prices, but they probably will trade him for 7th round prices. You know, can you trade DeAndre Swift and some to get TreVeyon Henderson? I think you can. Can you trade Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Josh Downs for TreVeyon Henderson? Maybe if you throw in another piece, I think you can potentially get this deal done. Now, TreVeyon Henderson, it might not be the best buy low scenario where he just had 12 points, but keep this in mind. Without this touchdown, he had a 5-point day. Antonio Gibson is getting the touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson is out snapping him. All signs are pointing down for TreVeyon Henderson. but you saw how fast it can change. That's the only argument here. It's not, oh, Henderson's going to have more snaps next week. He's not. Like, you can buy him low next week too. But if anything changes, you have listen, we saw it with Hampton. Good prospect profile, projects out as a potential every down back. He looks good. He looked explosive. We've seen flashes. As the draft price, he obviously was invested into heavily by this Patriots team. It's a matter of time before he gets the opportunity. Now, you're also going to need some luck. You're going to need some good fortune. Some certain things are going to have to happen. But I think if you're paying a 6th or 7th round price for TreVeyon Henderson, I think that's a good buy, especially if you are a winning team with a winning record. Now, Ladd McConkey is where things get weird. Can you say that Ladd McConkey is going to average 6 or 7 points the rest of the way? No. If you look at Ladd McConkey last year, you can't say he was touchdown dependent because he only had, 4 or 5, he had 5 games in which he scored touchdowns. The rest of the games in which he didn't score touchdowns, he was still fantasy football relevant. He was still producing. Now, what I'm willing to bet on here is, first off, I actually do think Quentin Johnston this is a breakout campaign. This is not fake. So Quentin Johnston is going to be involved. We already saw Quentin Johnston have 1 concussion this year, 1 more big hit downfield. You're done, buddy. So I question whether or not how long he's going to be on the field. But what I really do question is Keenan Allen, the 39-year-old man, which I just don't think this guy's going to be able to stay healthy for an entire season. 2023, missed time. 2024, missed time. When Keenan Allen misses time, it's automatically going to project Ladd McConkey in there as the clear role that Keenan Allen seems to have reclaimed from Ladd. So I think Ladd McConkey is going to have a much better close to the season. Really, we're not even 4 weeks, we're 4 weeks in, right? So a better middle half and a good close to the season compared to Keenan Allen. So I would go ahead and I would trade Keenan Allen for Ladd McConkey straight off. I would do that. And a lot of people wouldn't, but I would go ahead and get Ladd McConkey, get the guy where we've seen Ladd McConkey in year 1, just so good. And if anything happens to the 33-year-old Keenan Allen, you're going to be in a good spot. Brock Bowers, you can buy low. Can you believe it? Listen, Bowers, he's been averaging 6 or 7 targets per game. That's simply not going to cut it. Now, when you have Geno Smith, who just threw 16 completions at 100 yards, that's it. You're obviously not going to have a big Brock Bowers game. So at least Brock Bowers has a decent floor, but so does Kyle Pitts. So does Travis Kelce. That's the realm of guys that Brock Bowers is currently hanging out with. Tight end, probably tight end 8 so far on the year this season. It simply is not cutting it. I would go out there and trade tight end 4, tight end 5 prices for Brock Bowers. I would trade, you're not going to be able to trade Sam Laporta. Who can you trade? I would trade Pitts. I would trade Kyle Pitts and, Kyle Pitts and Keenan Allen and go get Brock Bowers because Brock Bowers, better days are ahead. And the Raiders are going to need him. We just saw the Ashton Jeanty breakout. As soon as Jeanty had the 30-point game, you're not able to buy him anymore. He's immediately a top 6 running back in a lot of people's rankings, which I think is crazy. Sell him high if you can, but go ahead and get Brock Bowers. Now, this name is going to surprise. This is the final name. It's going to surprise a lot of people. I was fading Mr. Montgomery coming into the year. With that said, I am actually thoroughly encouraged by his role. He's averaging 10 rushes per game. Not very good. But he is still averaging 1 touchdown per game, about 1 touchdown per game, if you average out the first 4 weeks. So he's involved in the red zone. In terms of his snap percentage, it's quite low. This is Jahmyr Gibbs' backfield. His receiving usage, not very good. So you're saying to yourself, why the hell are you buying him? First off, everything we just went over, 37% snap rate. You're buying him low, L-O-W. You can screenshot this and tell your league mate, bro, he's playing 33% of the snaps. Like, he's dust. Because right now he is dust. Like, get rid of the 29-point game, he's dust. Not exciting at all. And that game, it was just 13 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. Of course, he's going to have a monster game. With that said, if Jahmyr Gibbs was to go down, David Montgomery is currently like D tier in my running back rankings for the week. If Jahmyr Gibbs misses any time, David Montgomery still has shown he has the juice. They will not trade for anyone. They will not have Craig Reynolds elevated from the practice squad. This will be the David Montgomery show. And even with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery is still potentially flexible. And with bye weeks, David Montgomery is a solid bye week running back where honestly I would say even though he just had a 1-point game, I still think David Montgomery's floor is probably around 7 points. That's what we're going to see him average for his floor this season. Whereas more often than not, like I would say 50% of the time, we see him score that rushing touchdown, and he'll probably average about 12 points as a floor. Would I rather have David Montgomery or DeAndre Swift? I think it's close at this point because DeAndre Swift, there's no world where he gets more. There's only a world where he gets less, and Monagai eats into his snap percentage. So that's why David Montgomery is on this list. It's something to monitor, something to spectate, because his price seems to be dropping and dropping. If we have another bad game, which I don't know if I expect a bad game versus Cincy, but if we do, he has a tough matchup versus KC. And if you can buy him before his bye week, you might be set up for a potential second half where he can potentially thrive if anything happens to Jahmyr Gibbs. So just keep David Montgomery on your radar. Those are the names to potentially buy low for week 5. Not sure, subscribe. Let me know any comments. If you got any questions or guys to buy low, any guys that you need to send trade offers for, we do trade questions in the Discord for free. Smash the like, subscribe button. Thanks for watching.